On this planet are places like this, which looks like a planet that James Cameron might create. What happens is that not many people know about them. So I'm going to reveal some of those places which turns out are in the same country but feel from another planet, making each reveal challenging, from techniques I barely know to use to the biggest base I have ever given color. Let's make that! We are going to start with the smallest drawing of the entire video, and using what for me is the most difficult technique after oil painting, watercolor. This technique is so hard because how you control water? I don't know how, but this first place is not so far from the paints I have done, knowing that I need to apply a base color so I can gradually add details, but before doing that, the base must be left to dry. I thought it would take longer to dry. But since it's a technique I'm not very good at, I don't use much water and I take my time, even if it's just for the base color. But what's the place I'm making and what makes it unique? Well, it is known as the Tatacoa Desert and is one of the most unique deserts in the world because it's not a real desert. Tatacoa was millions of years ago a forest, and long ago it was just a huge sea. But all those changes make it a perfect place for finding fossils. And all that makes it possible for it to be a red desert, because over all those years it have accumulated an immense amount of iron oxide, giving it a particular red color. Now that you know what I'm painting, let's get to the paint process. Because besides it's a small base, giving the red color is not that easy. Watercolor is an amazing technique for giving light and shadows at the same time, by knowing how to control the water for make a useful stain. I don't know how to do that. So the process I followed was this, going layer by layer using the necessary water and giving it time to dry, repeating all that until being able to give little details to some parts. But most important, to give the unique red color. This is the first part of the Tatacoa Desert, being a piece of Mars on Earth. But there is something more. Thanks to how far it is from the city and pollution, but mainly by its location. At night, this unique place has a clear view of the Milky Way. It's one of the best places in Colombia for astronomical observation. The Tatacoa Desert is unique by its two visual beauties. At daylight, it's a different planet, and at night, is where all planets can be seen. This is the first place of 3 we are going to be making. Each place is going to get more unreal, same as the size of the art. Now let's pass to the next one, which for me is kinda scary, but at the same time amazing. It's complicated. Okay, for this place I'm going to use a technique that I use well, because as the unreal is getting higher, the painting technique is going to get easier. But before that I have to get a perfect sketch so I don't miss the near and far proportions, because as you can see, there are a lot of trees. I decided to not give a base color like I did with watercolor and just begin with the background, trying to avoid painting the trees with gray. Hopefully that doesn't affect me in the future.
Why didn't I paint this before?
Well, I kinda get out of giving the gray color of the sky without painting the palm trees. Yes, you hear right. This guy is afraid of palm trees, but not the ones of the beach. I'm talking about the ones in Tolima, Colombia, where the tallest palm trees in the world can be found, growing as a huge forest in the mountains. Now let me tell you why these palms are scary and amazing. These palms can reach 50 to 60 meters of height, with an incredibly slender trunk, That's what actually scares me the most. How as that slender thing can reach 60 meters of height. I'm scared. Tell me that is not scary. But what actually turned this into an amazing place is that these palms can live 2 whole centuries, and it's crazy it's only here in Colombia. Now that's good, but also warning, because being the only place on Earth and thanks to deforestation, this species of tree are in a vulnerable state globally, and if it disappears, a lot of animals will too. This is one of the main reasons for this video. All these places are from nature, and we are the only ones who can experience them. But for that, nature needs to still be alive. Now let me present to you what in here is called the wax palm. Now in here I was having problems with the background. You know, I should have done it before.
Why didn't I paint this before?
Making a mountain behind the already done palms is a mess, until I remember the place is foggy in this case. I give my best making the mountains and then apply over it white paint, giving the last touch of clouds and fog, looking like this. This was the second real place, and we have reached the last one, which is the only one on the entire planet, thanks to the unique place it is, but most important because nature. All the places painted in this video are 100% made by nature in real life. They are painted by me, of course. This is going to be the biggest canvas I have given color in the entire video, and for that I'm going to use a technique I can master, kinda good. Well, it is the pencil color, but I'm going to need to use an extra one for a main detail, which hopefully looks good. But before all that, the sketch is the one that will determine if it looks unreal or unsuccessful. And just like that, it's time for give color. This is going to be different as the other two by starting from the top, the surroundings, and after that make the unreal thing that makes this place the most unique one. So let's begin. This place is only possible to admire at its best when the sun is in its peak and the sky is clear. Now this place is over and inside the rocks, being like the protectors of the main aspect. What makes this amazing, so they need to be done. In this case, the rocks are around the whole thing. This is hard to make. First, because it is my first time painting rocks, and second, because they have different textures and colors. Under it is a plant named Macarenia clavijera. Yes, it's so hard to pronounce. What you need to know is that it is an aquatic plant, which in contact with the solar light gets colorful, giving mainly red and pink tones. This plant can only be found here, making Caño Cristales the most unique color river in the whole world. Now giving just the base color of this river take me 30 minutes. Okay, Caño Cristales is a river, right? Well, I have no idea how to paint the water. So I just literally went for it and gave the color tones, and then later I will manage the water texture, which in this case are just reflections. I hope. What happens is that the pink I can only use in here is getting eaten by the paper, and I'm getting worried if I can finish this. Because this pink is the only one that came in this huge box, and it cannot be purged individually. So I start to give different pink tones, trying to make the front the most vibrant and the furthest parts with a softer pink. And I think it kinda works. I decide to keep doing that until I get a good mix of the colors, because maybe on camera it is not that clear, but this is divided in 3 different parts that need to be just one. I use 3 tones to get a homogeneous color for the river, and that takes a while. Now it's time for do the last detail, where I'm going to use a technique I already used in another place. Paint, white paint, for the water reflections. Let's see how this turns out. Okay, this is how the most real river looks. These places are one of a kind, for real. Making these places was amazing, and they end up pretty well. But behind these paintings is a big message. Please appreciate the place you live in, because it's not in another part of the world. For me, some of these were common, but I found out a new one and unique characteristics of each one, making me feel unique because living in here, in this unreal place called Colombia.